What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Chris Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you live this afternoon. It's one of those slow days. Don't have to work. Don't have any school. Got church tonight, though. That's always fun. Birthday tomorrow. 20 years old, man. 20 years young, I think is the new term. But still, um, and alongside that, celebrating 2 years on YouTube. I haven't known everyone for 2 years, but the channel's been around for 2 years, and I think I'd say it started back with Uncle Lou and BVD and, people like that. So, I mean, a few of you, of course, I've known for just about 2 years. Some people I've known for a year and a half. Some people I haven't known a whole year yet. Like, even a guy like Trenches, I mean, it feels like it's probably been this whole time, but even a guy like Trenches out there, love you, bro, if you're listening to this. I think I've only known him maybe 6, 7 months on here. I mean, it's been quite some time, but not quite, the entire time I've been on here. But I figured I'd get a stream going. Okay. Mute my phone for right now. But I figured I'd get a stream going. God, it's a slow day. I got nothing to do until I got to leave for church later. I'll go to church tonight. And then I get up tomorrow. I do have to go to school, but I only have one class. And, go to class. I'll come home. The plan is to go out to dinner tomorrow night, meet my grandfather at some restaurant over in like Gardendale or whatever. Looking forward to it. Mom's going to be visiting this weekend. Looking forward to seeing her. Love you, Mom. I'll take this weekend off. I'm not even, as far as like putting out videos and all that, but I'll try. I can drop the StreamYard link. We can get you guys on. Would love to talk with some of y'all. Or anyone's welcome on, really, but this is the BSM Podcast. I originally, when I started this, I wanted to start up a podcast live thing, just like to hang out. So this is kind of what I use to hang out with you guys. And even if I get you guys on, which I always love doing, I think there's a difference between hangout streams and then like having a purpose in a talking point, like topics for live streams. I think there's kind of a fine line and difference in that. So, but 2 years on here, man, tomorrow, and I've come a long way with it. A lot of people to thank, and more on that tomorrow night on the stream. Just stick around, and I hope you guys can make it. I don't know. I had it scheduled for 10 Eastern, and now I've kind of pushed it back to 11 Eastern, which, either way, basically, I'm going to go out to dinner, and I'm going to get home, and then I'm going to start the stream up. Now, I think we're having dinner at maybe like 5 or 6. And the place that we're meeting at is, it's not too far out. So maybe I'm home early. Maybe I got an hour or so to kill. Maybe I'm home before 9 Central, 10 Eastern. And if that's the case, then I'll just start it at 10 Eastern. But either way, it's going to happen. We're going to do the show tomorrow night. And we'll talk sports. We'll look back at this past year on YouTube and just stick around because, I'll tell you, this whole year, not even just on YouTube, this whole year for me, you guys know I moved up to Alabama. That's a big change in life. New people, new experiences, relationships. A lot has changed in the past year on here. This channel, however, met some great people on here this year. I love each and every one of you. This channel remains Ballard Sports Media. Anyway. And I dropped the StreamYard link. I see someone's watching. I'm not sure who it is, but if y'all want to come on here, you can. It's up to y'all. Let me see. Looking forward, of course, to Army Navy. Been talking about it a bit. We're just in that dead period. I mean, there's a lot to talk about and cover going into these playoff semifinals. And I'll get some stuff out. I mean, obviously there'll be Orange Bowl prediction video, Cotton Bowl prediction video. Comparing the teams. I might just do multiple videos and just kind of ramble on a bit and just, as we get closer to that. And of course, there's other bowl games too. I'll preview games like the Rose Bowl, which I believe is Utah, Ohio State. That'll be good. The Sugar Bowl is Baylor, Ole Miss. That's going to be something because Baylor's defense is great, and we know about Matt Corral and the Ole Miss offense. I mean, it hasn't looked there's been times where it has not, what am I trying to say? It hasn't looked the best, at least what we expected it to be. I'm reading something here on Facebook, and I agree with this. One of the people on here, well, hell, it was Jeff, but I guess so shared out this post. This was actually on Twitter by College Football Nerds. But what it was like a Bama post, and they kind of put their own wording in it. Anyway, it says, Will Anderson should be a Heisman finalist, right? And the tweet was from College Football Nerds. It says, Anderson has generational numbers, better than Sue, Ndamukong Suh, we remember, better than Young, better than Aaron Donald. He just had to play Auburn, who doesn't pass, and Georgia in his last two games. But on the year, and he goes on with the stats, comparing Will Anderson and Aiden Hutchinson of Michigan. 91 tackles for Will Anderson, 31.5 tackles for loss, and 15.5 sacks. That's great. It's at least in sacks, it's close between him and Hutchinson. But listen to this for Aiden Hutchinson. 58 tackles, 15.5 tackles for loss, and 14 sacks. It's not close, he put after the stats. Here's the thing. I don't, Will Anderson is the best defensive player in college football right now. And a lot of people are agreeing with that. It's not just Bama folks. Everyone's seeing his productivity. Now, is he getting total disrespect? Like, is it wrong to necessarily put a guy ahead of him? Like, first off, I think a guy like Aiden Hutchinson would deserve the Heisman. There are a lot of good and talented players out there this season that I would say deserve the Heisman. I know I've been hard on Bryce Young, and again, I apologize, but even he deserves a Heisman. Right? Some people say C.J. Stroud deserves it. I don't know if I'd go that far, but he's pretty good. There's a lot. But is Will Anderson, first off, is the fact that he's a defensive player the reason why maybe he's not getting enough credit? Like, is this, I mean, we say the Heisman is a quarterback award, but forget about quarterbacks. Is it just straight up an offense award? Because I'm not even hearing much about Jordan Davis right now anyway. I'm serious. Let's look at something real quick. I want to see. Which one do I want to find? Let's look at some Heisman odds. Sportingnews.com 2 hours ago put this one out. I'll share it in a second. Heisman Trophy Watch updated odds, top candidates to win 2021 award. I'm going to put the link in the comments to this article, and we'll look at it together too. Right? From Zach Al-Khatib of Sporting News. The college football regular season is over, bearing the Army-Navy game, meaning that players can make no further on-field arguments for 2021 Heisman Trophy campaigns. So who is the favorite to win the Heisman now that play and voting have concluded? So that's it. We have our finalists, right? The odds-on favorite heading into bowl season is Alabama sophomore quarterback Bryce Young, who finished his season with a flourish game against Georgia in the SEC championship game. That said, don't discount any of the three other finalists who have also staked their claims to sports' most famous individual award. The other three that he listed are Michigan defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, Pitt quarterback Kenny Pickett, Ohio State C.J. Stroud. Only time will tell which of those four players will win the Heisman. Until then, Sporting News has you covered on their Heisman, and so on. Okay, so where is Will Anderson on this? This is ridiculous. And I'm not even saying that Will Anderson could be putting these numbers up at Pittsburgh or Clemson or somewhere. I'd still give him credit. There's a few guys that aren't on this list. Where's Jordan Davis of Georgia? If you want to give it to some defensive players, I got to give that guy props. You know? Where's Will Anderson? Where's a guy like Jordan Davis from Georgia? Where's, what happened to the talk about Jameson Williams? Literally the best receiver Alabama has, the only guy. Now, I will say this. The one thing that stands out about Will Anderson, if anything that might be an issue or whatever, which I don't think it should, but I don't know if this is what it is, but he's not the lead tackler. He's second, actually. He has 91 total tackles. Who's ahead of him? 100 tackles, Henry To'oTo'o. Okay, so he's 9 tackles behind the lead tackler for Alabama. But he has 15 and a half sacks for 96 yards, right? He's got passes defended, 2. He hasn't really recovered any fumbles or forced them. No defensive touchdowns. But he's a sack machine. 15 and a half sacks for 96 yards lost. How many times did he get to Stetson Bennett on Saturday? Like 2 or 3 times? Took down a guy like TJ Finley. I mean, I'm not here to say I don't know who should win the Heisman. I would hope it's a guy like Will Anderson. I think he deserves it. I think there's a lot of people. I don't want to sit here and say it's not even close, but the fact that the media, the sports media, not me though, I'm the good sports media. The fact that the sports media world has all these different players for this Heisman Trophy, which, by the way, I'm not going to say these guys don't deserve it, but you have all of these players, and yet the best defensive player and everything, like, is not on here. I mean, the best defensive player actually might be Aiden Hutchinson, but you're going to put C.J. Stroud and Kenny Pitt. How are you going to put the second best odds for a defensive back like that? And then you're going to go back to quarterbacks and forget about the lead, for the number one team, forget about their lead tackler. The lead, sack machine, Will Anderson, forget about him. Who cares? Seriously? The disrespect for Will Anderson, not that no one, it's not that they're saying he's bad, but I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, a lot of people out there, not the people that make these odds, but a lot of people, even on here, are talking, this guy needs to be in the conversation. But he's not, to the experts at least. So, I don't know. But I would say this, that, at these odds, I mean, I don't want to say they don't matter, but I guarantee you, if you watch the Heisman Trophy ceremony, which, if I'm not mistaken, is this Saturday night, I think it's after the Army-Navy game, right? It normally is, unless it's next Saturday. Either way, if you watch the Heisman Trophy ceremony, you'll see players up there. You will see a C.J. Stroud. You might see Kenny Pickett. You might see Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know. You'll see some of these guys, right? It'd be a disgrace and a shame if we're sitting there watching it and Will Anderson is not in New York City. I'll leave it at that. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I did my daily rant. There we go. Again, I dropped a link. If anyone's watching or whatever, you want to come on here, feel free to. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. I don't know. But again, I'm not trying to say that he should be the favorite or anything, but the fact that he wasn't even on that list is crazy. Aiden Hutchinson deserves to win it. Kenny Pickett, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. Actually, I'll admit, C.J. Stroud looks good. Ohio State as a whole, not so much. But all those other guys deserve to win it. It's just one of those, where the hell is the lead tackler for the number one team? Why isn't he on this list? It's crazy. Got a Thursday night game. This actually might be pretty good. Well, I don't know. The Steelers are 6-5-1. They had a tie earlier in the season, or a couple weeks ago. They tied with. How do you tie in overtime with the Lions? The heck. We can look at some NFL. I might even tell you what I'll do. I'll pick this game here, Steelers and Vikings. Let's go. Playing on my birthday tomorrow night, Thursday night game. I'm not going to watch it, but it'd be something to keep an eye on. Isaiah Buggs, he was an Alabama guy. BJ Finney, Joe Hayden, Robert Spillane, injury report. The rookie out of Virginia Tech, Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle for the Vikings, is questionable. Adam Thielen, doubtful. Dalvin Cook is questionable as of yesterday, and so on. So both of these teams have no one's actually out for the Steelers. They're all questionable, but they all have some injury issues, I'd say. When I look at this game, though, and I'm not going to I don't know if I want to pick a score. I don't like picking NFL scores. That's more of a college thing, but it's a 3-point spread. The Vikings are favored, and I think that's just because of the home team. They got a 62.3% chance to win it. When you look at this, the last 5 games for both of these teams, just on Sunday, the Steelers beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens by a point. But they lost in blowout games to the Chargers and the Bengals. What is going on in Steel City? I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback. In that game, too, let me just say that, first off, I give the Bengals some credit. That offense is looking amazing with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. You got all those guys. But you go back to that Bengals game. 41-10 Bengals. Bengals 7-4. Steelers 5-5. That was like their 5th loss. But anyway, in that game for the offense, Big Ben Roethlisberger, 24 of 41, not too bad. 263 yards, okay. Passing touchdown, okay, cool. 2 picks. Oh. Right. One of them was a pick 6 by Mike Hilton late in the first half. Evan McPherson hit a 51-yarder, and so on. Like, the Steelers have talent. Mike Tomlin is still their head coach, by the way. Do I think, are the Steelers going to bounce back? Are they going to use I could get a loss to the Chargers close like that. I think Cincinnati was just one of those, they had a bad day, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who are clicking on all cylinders right now and picking their season up, the Bengals kind of used their success this season, I think, as leverage in that game. And they kind of went with it, But overall, I don't think the Steelers are a bad team. The Vikings, however, I mean, they're not as good. They're 3-2 at home. And then the Steelers, when they're on the road, they're 2-3. I mean, it's not too bad, but still. Kirk Cousins and Big Ben Roethlisberger, that's the matchup there. Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris. You got Deontay Johnson, Justin Jefferson, lead receivers for each team. 3-point spread. I take that. This could be a field goal game. Both of these defenses are great and better than their offenses are in some ways. These offenses have both actually had their struggles a bit in key games. The Vikings lost their last 2 to the Niners 34-26 and lost by 2 to Detroit. Detroit's still going to have the number 1 pick, I think, but this will be a very interesting game. If I'm making a pick, the spread's 3 points. I'd take that. But I'm going to say Pittsburgh gets the win here. I'm gonna say they win this one. Take Pittsburgh. I think they bounce back a bit. I don't know what the score is going to be, though. I think there's going to be some good defense. Going to be some stops. Man, this is tough. Give me 1 second. I'll give you a score prediction, but I'm gonna stick to the Steelers. It's gonna be a defensive game. I'm gonna say something like Steelers win 21-17. I don't see a whole lot of offense in this one. I think both of these teams are going to have a tough time. They've scoring wise, they haven't been all that, in the NFL. I mean, this isn't Tampa Bay. This isn't the Chiefs' kingdom. Um, I mean, still, and I think that you'll see two struggling offenses go at it, but they'll get some things figured out. I think, and they'll be able to fight to the finish. But I think overall, I'd take the Steelers here to bounce back. I mean, they won their last game against the Ravens. Don't get it twisted. But like I said, those back-to-back losses with the Chargers and the Bengals, you kind of want to use those as motivation, and especially with the Bengals loss being a huge blowout by 31 points. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh used that as motivation and won the rest of their games. I don't know, but anyway, give me the Steelers in this one, 21-17 over the Minnesota Vikings. Pittsburgh getting the W. That's my opinion. Ugh. That'll be on my birthday. I'm not going to watch that. Nah, I'm going to be on here with you guys watching that game. I'll check back with it. Maybe I get the right pick for the team. Maybe I get the right score or something. I don't know. But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually got a prediction right. Now, I do remember this. Last year's Georgia-Bama game, I predicted Bama to win that one 24-20. They won the game 41-24. So 24 points on the board by somebody I got right. It was Georgia's 24 points though. Alabama still won, but Georgia was the one that scored 24, and Alabama ended up scoring 41, of course. But anyway, it's going to be 31 degrees at that Pittsburgh game, too. I'd keep my eye on the Browns and Ravens game as well. We can look at that. So this is a Sunday game, obviously, 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern time on CBS, NFL Showdown, divisional game here. Much like the Bengals and the Steelers playing tomorrow night, we got divisional game here in the AFC North. The Browns hosting the Ravens, who are 8-4. Cleveland is 6-6. They're 4-2 at home. And the Ravens are 3-3 on the road. Lamar Jackson, MVP, having an MVP type of season, over 2,000 yards passing. He's got 16 touchdowns. Now, he does have 13 picks. I take my comment back. Maybe it's not an MVP type of season there, but he's not bad. He's also the lead rusher because he runs around a lot. He's good at that. And they really don't have much at running back anyway. But he can extend plays, make plays with his legs. Baker Mayfield looking pretty good. 11 touchdowns, only 6 picks, over 2,000 yards as well. Nick Chubb's got 150 carries, 867 yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. Nick Chubb is balling out, much like he did at Georgia, especially in that 2017 season, when they won the SEC and ended up making the Natty. Anyway, 2.5-point spread here. Over-under is 42. This will be a good defensive game, low scoring in ways. 23 points a game for the Ravens, 21 a game for the Browns offensively. This will be interesting. Now, I predicted the Steelers Vikings 21-17. I don't know who I want to get this one. Well, I don't care who wins it. Man, this will be good. This will be good because these offenses are so similar, and so are their defenses. The Ravens have more yardage, but they also allow more yards. So Cleveland does have the better defense. They're both literally even at 147.1 yards rushing when they run the ball. They both are just better passing teams. Honestly, when I look at this, both teams coming out off a loss, they just played the Ravens in their last game. Cleveland did, and that was 16-10. Does Cleveland get revenge? Because see, that's the thing. It's in Cleveland. Somebody is going to be on a 2-game losing streak. Someone is going to get a win streak start. Do the Ravens use the loss from the other night against Pittsburgh as motivation? Sure. But you got to think, the last game the Browns had was against the Ravens, and they lost to the Ravens. Can Baker get this taken care of? I think he can. I'm going to say the Browns get this W here. I think they bounce back. They get a revenge win and shut down Lamar Jackson a bit. I think it's going to be a good defensive game overall. I mean, in some capacity. Give me a score, maybe a 26-17 Browns. I think that that's still 2 possession. What's that, 9 points? Some field goals in there or whatever. There's going to be some defense, but they got some good playmakers, some skill positions, and they'll put some points up. And I think the Browns can get this one done. What's up, Ugga Boy? I dropped the StreamYard link if anyone wants to come on. But again, predicting this game here, it's a tough one to call. But the fact that their last game was a loss and it was to literally the Ravens, and here they are again, and they're at home, I got to take Cleveland in this game. And I think they win by 9. Again, the spread's 2.5. I don't know. I don't think it'll be that close of a game. I mean, 9 points isn't bad, but still, we'll have to wait and see. But again, Baker Mayfield and company, they're going to get the job done. I know it. All right. So just kind of hanging out today. Dude, it's only 12:30. This is a long day just already. I got church tonight. And, I'm just trying to kill time, if anything, right now, man. Birthday tomorrow. Gonna celebrate with a big stream. We'll get you guys on. That'll be huge. But y'all want to hang out today, we can. I dropped the link. And anyone's welcome. So what's going on with men's basketball? Let's see where we're at with this. You got Indiana, Wisconsin. You don't have any games really till Friday. Indiana, Wisconsin. UNF at North Florida playing Florida. You got UConn and West Virginia. Not a whole lot of matchups, not a whole lot of action. Houston and Alabama, though. Nate Oates and the Tide are 7-1. Houston's 8-1. They got to cut down on turnovers in this game. They got to pick up the scoring and the pace on offense. Nate Oates needs to have a good game plan because Houston plays good defense and has some good guards and skill players. And, they got to win this game on Saturday. I mean, Alabama doesn't have to win it, but it would look good for their resume. Which does Alabama win the SEC again? I think so. But if they don't, what's going to back them up to be one of the teams in the tournament. Because, again, like, you have so many teams, yeah, but not everyone's getting in. But a quality win against the top 15, Houston, that'd be a good quality win for Alabama. What's up?
How's it going, man?
Not much. Just talking some sports.
Yeah, it's nice to see you on. Can't wait for tomorrow. Big day, right? You're
Yeah.
finally getting out of the one digit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 20 years old. That's a milestone. But next year, never mind.
Yeah, back to the one we go.
Yeah.
Because you'll be 21. But hey, that's the awesome part about growing up in life, right? That's the
Yeah.
part where you get out there and you explore and you can do all the stuff, but
Just
you can
live.
still party without alcohol, correct?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Do they?
Well, I don't know. It could be cheesy like me and just, party hard with the Dr. Pepper, but, or,
Hey, that's the go-to soda right there, man. I credit you for that one.
or get jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I'm all jacked up about
Yeah, man. So, if you don't mind, I was going to talk to you about, because, of course, we all know Ballard's a Auburn fan. I'm just kidding. He's an Alabama fan. And I was doing some research and everything. And, of course, unless you've been, like, hiding under a rock, we all know about the Brent Key situation. He was the offensive line coach. God, man, what a retard! Like, how do you go to Georgia Tech? And people's going to be like, "Man, Ugga boy, you're complaining, you're whining, you're crying, or you're only saying this because it's Georgia Tech." No,
Yeah.
you go to leave Alabama, a national championship contending team, 3 years ago, to Georgia Tech, who, by the way, their coach has a record of only 3 wins the last 2 years, and he's 9-25. Get out of here.
Yeah. Hey, my grandmother called me. Give me 1 second, man. You can talk about whatever, but I'm gonna return this call.
Okay. So basically, a little bit about Georgia Tech. Look, guys, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Jeff Collins I'm surprised he even has a job. Let's be honest, right? Jeff Collins, like I just mentioned a while ago, he's 9-25. In 2020, when COVID was around, he was 3-7. Now, remind you though, this is his overall record. In 2021, he's 3-9 this year. 3-9, and he had 2 blown out losses to Notre Dame 55-0 and Georgia 45-0. And you can say what you want, but that's just utter ridiculous. Now that Northern Illinois loss at the beginning of the year doesn't really seem too bad, considering I think they were MAC champs. So Northern Illinois really turned it around from a year ago, being like the bottom feeder of the MAC in 2020 to MAC champs in 2021. So that's really good. But a little bit about Jeff Collins. He was hired December the 7th of 2018. He's the 20th coach in Tech history, guys. And I say this because, look, Jeff Collins, he just hired Chip Kelly. Get out of here. Chip Long, which was the offensive coach. I got a little background on him because this is actually an interesting hire. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator now for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and he was at Tulane this past season, which Tulane, they actually play teams really hard, like Oklahoma. Who was it? There was another team or two, I remember. Tulane wasn't so bad, and I think Ole Miss kind of took them to the woodshed, but I think there at the first quarter, they were hanging in with Ole Miss. My point with that being said is, look, Chip Kelly's the new offensive coordinator for the Yellow Jackets, and we all know that Jeff Collins is riding on a limb, right? We all know people down in Tech is pissed, like the boosters. Heck, man, my boy C-Dog was talking about how he thought this was kind of a sort of an okay hire, but the problem is it's a little too late, and I agree with him. It should have been done last year. It should have been done before the season. If you're going to bring in Chip Long, who looked really good at Notre Dame. I've done a little bit of history on him and some notes here. 2017 to 2019, he was Notre Dame's offensive coach and tight ends coach. Heck yeah, man. And 2016 really didn't get recognized as much, but he was the Memphis offensive coach and tight ends coach as well. But last year in 2020, he was a OA at Tennessee, offensive analyst. Is that right? Whatever OA is, y'all chime in the comment section and let me know below. And then, of course, this past year he was at Tulane. So I don't know, not a bad little nifty hire. But going back to Brent Key, this is very crucial, guys. This is why I brung it up, and this is my entire point. How do you leave a national championship team, right? A national caliber team that's been relevant for well over 2 to 3, maybe even 500 decades, it seems like. Why would you leave to go back to Georgia Tech?
Hey, I'm back, man. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, man. Well, I was just talking about.
I missed everything you were saying because I was talking to my grandmother.
Yeah, I was just giving everybody a Georgia Tech head coach history thing, some notes I took down, and everything I shared with you. I think 2 days ago.
Did they fire their coach? Is that what happened? Or
no. Jeff Collins is still around. He replaced the offensive coach, which is Chip Long, and Chip Long was the offensive coach at Tulane, which is kind of really. It's not a bad hire. I agree with my boy C Dog. He was saying that the hires is too late. I watched one of his videos, and he was saying, man, if Jeff Collins would have done this maybe a year ago, it would have gave him some hope. But, dude, when you're 3-25, and you're riding on one more year, I'm surprised the dude even has a job. He was 3-7 in 2020, 3-9 with 2021. It seems like this dude's never getting better, Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. And I was talking about how Brent Key left to go back to his alma mater at Georgia Tech. I don't care if it's his alma mater or not, dude.
Yeah.
You don't leave Alabama. Alabama has been over 5,000 decades relevant, and Georgia Tech's not even relevant. That's the difference, right?
They really haven't been relevant since they won that title in 91 or whenever, right?
Right. And so y'all probably don't care, but just for the heck of it, Chip Long in 2017 to 2019, he was very known at Notre Dame as the offensive coach and tight ends coach. But last year, guys, even though Tulane played people hard like Oklahoma and another team or two, they only had 2 wins. Tulane did, going 2-10 over Morgan State and USF, which is South Florida. Terrible.
Yep. Wow.
But Brent Key, that's the whole point of this conversation is why would Brent Key leave knowing that the offensive line was better in his hands, and Saban probably would hire his butt back,
right?
But yet he's still kissing Jeff Collins' tail at Tech.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
That happens with, a lot of coaches are like that, where they feel comfortable in a certain situation, but they know they'll be better somewhere else.
Right. Well, you could tell that this is going south quick. He could end up back at Alabama, and that's no knock to y'all. We see coaches get fired. They come and go. Of course, Nick Saban, everybody wants to still work under Saban or will work under Saban, even if they've been fired, let go, however you word it.
Yeah.
But, and heck, man, look at Will Muschamp at Georgia. It's not just Alabama that does it. It's everybody that does it, right?
Oh, I know.
I guarantee you Brent Key will be a sexy rehire by Alabama if he came back, because I guarantee you everything that he's done.
Saban would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's what's so crazy. It just goes to show you. Now I'm not going to compare Nick Saban as to talent, but you could take a Brent Key coach, right? Coach Key, however, and he could go to Georgia Tech and be god awful. That offensive line is terrible, but he was at Alabama and he was awesome, and there's no denying that. Bama has rings and championships to prove that. Tua, Jalen Hurts, Yeah. So that's what I just can't understand. When me and you were talking about this the other day, why? I know that he's been gone for 2 or 3 years, but going back and looking at all the coaches and who's still around and who's not, he has to be retarded to still stay at Georgia Tech or to leave Alabama to go to Georgia Tech.
Right.
There's no growth there, and you know that Jeff Collins eventually is going to get canned, whether if this year, which it probably won't be, since he hired an offensive coordinator, but next year, yeah, he's pretty much jobless.
You know what's so funny is when, you have all this coaching turnover, and especially from Alabama. I mean, look at the guys that have recently left, is Pete Golding or not Pete Golding, Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin in recent years. You have all of these, like, coaches leave Alabama or anywhere in the country, Georgia, Florida, just pick a program. A guy eventually is not going to have a job there. And they'll either get fired or someone's going to offer them a job for like a head coaching position. Well, here's what I really think I should use, like a Mike Locksley. Oh, that's one from Alabama or Sarkisian, like Texas. Okay. Sarkisian, great offensive mind. We know what he did for Alabama the past few years, and Mac Jones and Tua and all that, right? Texas is not a bad program. They're not, they're not the worst of the worst. They've had some good years. Tom Herman just needed to go. It wasn't working out. It was very inconsistent. So you go to a program and you go to a state, by the way, where you can get some talent. But there's guys out there that will leave programs and go take a job somewhere, and it's a complete downfall. But not only a downgrade. Like, it's a worse position and a worse program than where you were.
Right. It's amazing what money can do. Right. All the waters can do.
Money talks, right?
Yeah. I mean, just like, I don't know if you knew this or not, but, Brian McClendon used to be under Mark Richt at the Georgia staff. He went on to South Carolina. I think he was an offensive coordinator. Either way, he was under Will Muschamp, and now he is going to be the interim head coach for Oregon for their bowl game. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then, we talk about coaches that go or wherever they want to fit. Look at Christian Robinson. I don't know if all you Georgia fans out there remember him, but he was under Mark Richt, and he played good defense for the Dogs, and he's with the Florida Gators.
Yeah. You know what's funny, too? You mentioned like an interim coach for Oregon for the bowl game. Why do you think, like, even if they find a way to win it, which I've hardly ever seen it, but let's say a team like Oregon, you said who's going to be the interim coach? Remind me.
Yeah, Brian McClendon.
Okay. So he's the interim coach. He's not the next guy to replace Mario Cristobal, but he's at least coaching, and we lost him. But he's at least going to be coaching for the next game. The point I was going to try to make, and if Ugly Boy hops back in here, and he will. So he's going to coach the next game for Oregon. If he has a great job there, why not, why wouldn't you keep an interim coach? He's only going to coach the bowl game and that's it. Well, wouldn't you want to maybe see how he does in this bowl game and then maybe, I don't know, hire him for a year or so and see where he's at? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think.
So, I could get if a coach gets suspended and you have an interim head coach or whatever. He wasn't suspended, but remember Nick Saban was out with COVID for the Iron Bowl. Well, the interim coach, the guy to step up is Sarkisian, right? But anyways, if you fire a guy and you have an interim head coach, technically he's the next head coach. Mm-hmm. In some ways, or should be. I would at least just say, you know what, we're going to have him be the interim head coach for right now. Let's just go ahead and sign him a contract and see how he does. Why isn't that the attitude instead of this, well, for right now, we'll put this guy in place?
If I'm not mistaken, Ballard, I think Dabu Sweeney was the interim head coach under or after Tommy Bowden got fired. Am I correct at Clemson?
Late 2008, he was the interim head coach, and then he officially took the job in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, see, stuff like that, that's what I'm talking about. Why not have that? But it's such a rarity. An interim head coach is going to serve, the bowl game, but then let's send him off into the sea and we'll go find someone else. It's crazy. I mean, I kind of get it, but I also don't get it. I would give, if you're going to have an interim head coach for a bowl game or the last month or so of the season, why not give them at least one full season, see where it's at, especially if it's a big-time program like in Oregon or something.
Right, yeah, you would think. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think they're getting treated fairly. They may think they are at the time, but yeah, why not sign them? Say, look, this is your interview, right?
Right.
Whatever happens, let it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. For sure.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, if they have a guy coach a bowl game or two, the final two games, and then they let him go, I mean, it's just a thought for me. I mean, whatever a school does, they do, but it's just kind of crazy that they'll have an interim coach for a bowl game and then cut him and bring in someone from the NFL that nobody's ever heard of or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's funny.
So what do you think about Marcus Freeman being the head coach at Notre Dame?
That was a surprise hire. I love that. He was the defensive coordinator. Notre Dame has been a school historically for defenses, and even under him, I think Notre Dame's set up in a pretty good position with him. Now, I'm not, again, I don't ever want to say no doubt this is a good hire because you just never know. I mean, a lot of people thought Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee was going to be a good hire. Look what the hell happened. So I'll bite my tongue a little bit and hold my breath. But if you're a Notre Dame fan, I wouldn't frown at the hire. I'd have some optimism.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the players, I think they're definitely going to play for him. So it's going to be really hard to make any excuses if Marcus Freeman's not the guy.
The question is, though, how would you say he is recruiting-wise? I mean, I know they've had all the talent, but was he recruiting those defensive players, or would you put that on Brian Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I heard people say that, he recruited those players and he had a lot of input into it and stuff. And I don't know exactly 100% sure to say without a shadow of a doubt, that he's responsible for most of those players. But if he is, that's something exciting for Notre Dame fans moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's overall, I think Marcus Freeman to Notre Dame will be, if I have to say good or bad, I think it'll be good. But again, like I said, I'll hold my breath on it because I don't know exactly. I don't know what they're getting into. I know what he's done for the defenses, but you got to think now it's not just about just the defense. You got to overlook all of the organization, and you got to focus on both sides of the ball, really all three. I know we say both sides of the ball. Special teams is important too. It'll be interesting to see what he does. For sure.
I wanted to ask you this because I know a lot of people don't really ask you this, or at least I haven't heard. What is your most disappointing and surprise team in college football this past year?
This season?
Yes.
Oh. Disappointing and most surprising. Well,
tough one. You have to think about that.
Forget the schedule. Honestly, I'd have to stick both teams in the ACC. I think the most disappointing team this year for me, going into the season, I was really high on North Carolina. And then Wake Forest came out of nowhere for me, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those were big.
Yeah. I mean, there was some teams, that did a lot better than I anticipated. I think a lot of people here on the YouTube here can agree that the most surprise team out of all was how good Tennessee got better offensively. It really started after that Florida game. It seemed like they figured some stuff out with quarterback change and whatnot. Josh Heupel, I tell you, in the next 2 or 3 years, he may not have a defense, but my God, I think he's going to be like one of those high-power Oklahoma teams we're used to seeing back in the day. And I don't know.
The
Can
thing,
good defenses win national championships?
the
We'll
thing with
find out.
I mean, look, I like what he's done this year, but the thing is, I think it has to, he's got some good players and he's got a good heart, good character and mindset for this program at Tennessee, Heupel. But you have to start with the recruiting. I think you'll beat Florida maybe in the recruiting battles, but in the SEC, I mean, they could probably work their way up to third, fourth, or fifth. But competing in recruiting with Georgia and Alabama and even coming close to them, I think is a whole nother story. And I don't know with how Kirby and Nick Saban is, and this is not a knock on Tennessee or Heupel. This is one of those Kirby and Saban are not slowing down with that stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think my disappointing team is Virginia Tech. I was really not higher. I was really excited about the hire as a college football fan. Justin, I can't think of his last name for some odd reason. He came out of Memphis.
Are you talking about the coach at Virginia Tech?
Right, that just got fired, yeah.
Fuente.
Yep. So I was really high on him 5 years ago. I thought he was going to do something at Virginia Tech. It just never happened. And then my surprise team, I hate to say it because I don't like them, but give them props. They beat Ohio State, the Michigan Wolverines. Who saw this coming, man?
I did, and so did my uncle in the offseason, but nobody else was buying into it.
Right.
I didn't know they would be this good of a team, but I did agree with my uncle when he said that if Michigan had any chance, this is their best shot, and I think they could do it because look what they have coming in. But it was a lot better than I expected it to be, as far as their team, like not record-wise, but just overall. These guys are not just good, they're great. And
I thought Michigan
the Aiden Hutchinson kid on the defensive edge, watch out. I think Jordan Davis might have competition for top defensive guy in the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like Michigan State, when they beat Michigan a couple of weeks back, and I thought that was going to be the start of Michigan's decline, but they hung around. Michigan State, they made problems for themselves and them losing, and Michigan took care of business after the loss to Michigan State. And let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you, as a fan, would you be more excited if you're a Michigan State Spartan fan? Would you be more excited that you beat Michigan, or would you be upset since Michigan's in the college football playoff and you still beat Michigan?
Oh,
that's a good one. Wait, that's like Auburn, Alabama. Well, we beat Auburn, but Auburn's still in it somehow. Well, which one would you be mad about?
Oh, I think if you're a Spartan fan, I mean, it's not like Michigan had the biggest streak on you in that rivalry. I mean, it's only been didn't Michigan State win it, or they didn't play it last year? I don't think. Or anyway, you did beat your rival. It was a big game. I think it was top 15. It was an upset. You got to be happy that Mel Tucker did that for you guys.
And it wasn't even his players.
I think because of, like, it wasn't like they waited thousands of years to beat Michigan. Like, they've done it before. It's a back and forth rivalry. So, I mean, it's still kind of one of those been there, done that. But I'd probably be more pissed off about the fact the Wolverines are in the playoff than the fact that I'm happy we beat them, if you're Michigan State. Because, I mean, it's just the Michigan going to the playoffs is one of those ones where not a whole lot of people saw coming around the corner as much as maybe some people might have said, Michigan State could probably find a way to win this Paul Bunyan axe battle, That's a good question, though. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I think, but Michigan State fans, after thinking about it, they're going to say, no, we're going to be pissed off that we're going to be happy we beat them, but we're still going to be pissed off that they're in the playoffs and we're not. Because Michigan State had it made, all they had to do was win. And really, all they had to do, regardless of that other one loss of them losing to Purdue, really all they had to do was beat Ohio State. And that was the thing. Like at the time, I think people thought Michigan State could have beat, Ohio State more so than Michigan. That's the weird part about it.
It is crazy.
Yeah. And it's like Purdue. I don't know how Purdue's going to get any better. I mean, it's like they've got better, but it's like they get better, but they're so inconsistent. So I'm not really too sure what's going on with the Boilermakers.
I'm more, who I'm curious about going forward. Where do you think? Okay, let me ask you this. You look at all the great teams this year, and they have fallen off this year. It's not as good as maybe they had hoped for. It was a great start. Going forward, man, what do you see in Iowa? Because, their defense, I think, is just going to keep being great under Kirk Ferentz. But is there going to be a point where maybe he could figure out some offense? Because, you have to score in today's college football. You got to put some points on the board. And that's the one thing that was missing that they were able to take some losses this year is when they played the better offenses, it's one thing if you're going to give up points, like you want to give up some points, okay. But if you can't answer it with your own offense, that's where you beat yourself.
Yeah, they got to get some offense going. They're really, really bad. But, like when Iowa was up at the beginning of the season, it looked like they kind of had some offense. But they're so inconsistent. It's really all more about their defense than the offense. And, yeah,
for sure.
They're definitely going to have to get some offense somehow. I don't know how they're going to generate it, but they're going to have to do it.
Oh, look, the games that they did win, 34 points to open the season against Indiana. That's not too bad. 27-17 over Iowa State. They beat Kent State 30-7. So, they didn't really score more. Well, they had a 51-point game against Maryland. So, obviously somewhere in there, and maybe that was from defense too. I don't know. But they can put some points up on the board. But against the teams that matter, like a Penn State, like a Wisconsin, like a Minnesota, they're scoring less than 30 points. And in today's college football, like if this was the 90s or 80s, you're getting 27 points, you'd be happy to do that because it was all defense. Now we're kind of all offense, although I'm starting to see some defense come back into the mix. Even though we still got all these great quarterbacks and everything, you got to be able to put up on a consistent basis, I think 35-plus points in a game offensively.
Oh, yeah. If you score that and your defense can't hold, and you, let's say 75% of the time, and you find yourself 3 or 4 losses, if not more, there's a huge issue. And, of course, that goes to the defense. But if you're scoring 35 points, let's say even 28, right?
Yeah.
You should be a really good football team.
Yeah, that's why the bowl game I was in, they're playing Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl. That's intriguing to me.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I said at the beginning of the year, I guarantee when Iowa was in the top 5 or top 10, give or take, I told people, I might have not told you, but I was telling other people, I said, when we were going to play Kentucky, I said that Kentucky, I guarantee you can beat Iowa by 20 points.
Ooh.
And I still remember that. Now, whether if I'm right or wrong, that's what I said at the time. Kentucky.
Wait. Can I ask you how it came up that Kentucky? Did you just kind of pick 2 teams right there? Like Kentucky could be, I don't know, Iowa.
Well, no, because we were going.
Now they're fixing to play.
Right, yeah. So I was bringing that up, for example, when we were about to play Kentucky. I said,
Yeah.
I think Kentucky is a good football team, but I said they're not like on Georgia's level. At the end of the day, they are not like when they play Alabama. They're just not. But to say Iowa is a top 5, top 7 team, that's utter ridiculous in my opinion. And I guarantee you Kentucky could beat them by 20, who we're going to play this weekend, and you'll see. And it just so happened now I guess I could either say hooray or don't,
Yeah.
or I could be eating my own words because they're playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, man.
It's just crazy. It's crazy how that kind of like came up and how they're going to play each other. I don't know. I still think Kentucky could win the game. I don't know if they'll win by 20 because Kentucky really disappointed me. Their
They
only
did.
loss this year after beating Florida, their only well at the time, it's Kentucky. Hey, they beat Florida, right? Give
Well, they
Florida the
do.
first loss. Georgia should have been their only loss this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. And they should have
Instead, they
finished.
lost
They should
what,
have
4?
finished like 11-1 and second in the East.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's disappointing, like huge. I think Mark Stoops is a good coach, but he ain't gonna win nothing at Kentucky.
Yeah. This will
But I
be a
mean,
good. Oh, go ahead and finish real quick.
I was just gonna say, but I mean, if Kentucky fans are content with him, then let him ride him out.
I'll ask you what. I'll ask you this because I do want to look at one of the earlier bowl games because they're going to start on like the 20th or whatever. I mean, we're talking 2 weeks away from today. This will be an interesting matchup. How about Missouri playing Army? This is the Armed Forces Bowl. What have you seen from Missouri this year? And then I don't know. Can you say anything about Army? Like I don't know if you watch them or what.
Well, I probably have about a different perspective on anybody, and that's why I was kind of laughing a little bit, like because I remember in the middle of the year, Missouri couldn't stop my dead grandma, and I'm being honest. And if they're playing Army in the bowl game, which they are, then if Missouri can't stop the run, they're gonna get killed. Like
That's true.
I think Missouri was better on pass protection. Now, look, their pass defense was not that great, but it was probably their strength. But they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop a butterfly go through the middle of their center. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm serious. Like they were that bad. Like
Right.
Missouri and now we talk about disappointing teams. That Missouri really disappointed me.
Oh, I know. Chess Hall and I were saying in the offseason when we were doing the show and we were previewing teams, we both agreed that a team like Missouri would be second in the East. I think they finished like 4th or 5th, didn't they? And not only that, I mean, their record, I mean, they're now 6-6. First off, I think Missouri's lucky that they made a bowl game based on how they played. Dude, okay, 34 points allowed, but they're only scoring 29. If you're giving up more than you're scoring, and first off, you're scoring less than 30 a game, I mean, barely, but that's a big issue. Connor Bazelak, their quarterback, who I thought last year at the start of the season, which it was conference only, they played out. He played okay against Alabama in the opener last year in our title run, but I was high on Missouri going into this year. I was high on their offense. I thought Eli Drinkwitz and everybody, which I like Eli Drinkwitz. I've heard him in his press conferences. He seems like a very smart and well-rounded head coach. But the talent, and I don't know if he has exactly what he needs on the staff. I don't think it's the head coach problem. I think. And you can't say a team like Missouri's in a rebuild year. They're just in a straight, they're worse than they should be. This game is a 3.5-point spread. Army has a 53% chance. I think it's going to come down to this, man. Army just has better offense. And it's not one of those, they can stop Missouri. I don't see how Missouri's going to be able to score, man. I mean,
they're always going to be on the field, especially if you can't stop the run. The triple option always gives even the best teams fits. And if Missouri is one of those teams that flat out can't stop the run, they're in for a long day.
For sure. And Army has run the ball pretty effectively this year. Um, I mean, look, uh, they got 93 yards passing. Army does, but they got 301 yards rushing. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think to
just,
me, I think Missouri may play better against Army, but I think at the end of the day, Army gets the nod. I think they get the W for sure.
would it
Too much.
surprise you? Would it surprise you if Missouri pulls this one off though and wins a bowl game? I
Yeah,
mean,
man, I'm glad. I would be surprised. I would be actually really happy for Eli and the guys down there in
yeah,
Missouri.
I love hearing Eli Drinkwitz, and I think at the very least, though, even if he loses this, be happy that Missouri got to a bowl game. But going forward for the team, if you really want us to respect and give you guys credit in the offseason, go out and answer it. Instead of a 6-6 year, maybe up it. And we're not saying they got to win the East and beat Georgia, but if they could up it to like a 9-3 regular season or an 8-4, some improvements instead of some downfall, then okay, they'll be set.
Well, the good news is, if there is any good news for Missouri playing Army, at least they can take notes. They can sit out and watch the Army-Navy game, and maybe somehow, some way, that can help them to stop Army's Russian attack.
Yeah, I got you.
mean, that's a plus, maybe 1 week will help. 1 week of a difference, I mean, I'm just thinking of anything. I really hope Missouri gets the W. Be good for the SEC. But, Army's not no slouch of a team. Like,
Oh
it's kind of
no.
been vice versa over the last couple of years. Usually it was Navy. I don't know. Army has been pretty good the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they have. They've been ranked. They've had some good wins, some good win streaks, and respect to all the troops out there, all the armed forces and the academies, of course. And Army's. This isn't one of those games where you look at it and say, "Oh, well, it's the SEC against a nobody." No, this is Army, and if anyone's sitting there dissing Army or Navy or any of them, then you can get the hell out. I don't know. I mean,
Army's a good football team. Like, I really believe, I think I said it last year, or it might have been the year before, when they were inside the top 15. I think they could have beat some really good quality football teams, realistically speaking. And, I mean, I'm just telling you, Army ain't no slouch.
Yeah.
They probably run the triple option better than anybody out there right now. I mean, you think of Army, you're like, oh, it's Air Force, not knocking them. It's just like, oh, man, Georgia Tech, and, regret. I mean, over the past couple of years, some teams had some really good football teams, but Army seems like they were more the consistent team that can continue to run the triple option and whatnot and be still a really good football team.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, there's some really good bowl games I'm really excited about. I can't remember all of them. I'm just not really like, I've always been not like, I'm not a bandwagon fan, but I've always been a fan.
That's what bandwagon fans say.
I've just been a fan of, like, back in the day when Boise State, beat Oklahoma. We all have all of these when Boise State was really good, right? Under Chris Peterson, guys like them. All right, so, but Boise State, man, they're just struggling this year to score. Since Brian Harsin left to go to Auburn, dude, they were just struggling.
Yeah, it's like they lost their whole life losing Harsin in a way. You think about it.
Right. I mean, they still had a chance to go to, I almost caught myself saying the WAC. They almost had a chance going to the Mountain West. But, the thing is, like, but it was, like, off of hope. Like, Boise State's not accustomed to that. Like, usually Boise's always in it. Win or lose, Boise's going to go in it. They're always going to be in contention. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, this year, I get it. It's a rebuilding year, first year for the coach. But I expect big stuff for Boise coming up here in the next couple of years. And, I'll be honest with you. I know this is old news, man, but I'm still shocked that Brian Harsin left to go to Auburn. Boise State was his alma mater. I mean, I get it. Money talks.
He was doing great there.
Yeah, I think he was doing all right. Yeah, I don't think he was doing as good as previous Boise State coaches. He don't have no championships. He's been there. I think what was it? They lost. San Jose State. I always pronounce their name wrong. They last year and they lost. Yeah, but they haven't been bad compared to this year. So yeah, I guess Brian Harsin did do really good there. But you know, it's just Boise State's going to have to get better for sure.
Um, Billy Napier at Florida now replacing Dan Mullen. His first action as the Gators head coach. He's dealing with a 6-6 team. UCF's not a slouch, man. They're not. Gus Malzahn's the head coach. We know he's an offensive guru. They're scoring 32 points a game. They're only giving up 25. Florida is 1 under in points per game at 31, and they're giving up like an extra point or whatever in 26 points a game. Could this, first off, I don't even know if UCF beating Florida is even an upset. I don't like to call a bowl win an upset. It's just a bowl win. But would you be surprised if this Gators team had it together to win this bowl game here? This is the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah, I mean they could fight for Billy. I mean, if he is coaching the bowl game, correct?
As far as I know.
Okay, well, if he's coaching the bowl game, SEC, I still think Florida plays somewhat, unless they just have given up, like Jeff Webster and everybody said. Now, I tend to agree with him on that. But if they still go out there and they look like they completely just gave up, have no life, no nothing, yes, I think Central Florida will beat them. It could be a field goal kick. I don't know. But I think somehow, some way, Florida will pull it out. But, man, come on. Who's all pulling for Gus Malzahn in this bowl game? Because I know I am.
Yeah, I hate Auburn. You know I do. And I don't really like Gus Malzahn that much because he beat us a few good times. And one of those times being – anyway. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think because – Florida's just on this really bad track record right now. Let's just all admit something here, folks. This is funny as hell. Serious. Now, do I think this game will be close? It won't be a super huge blowout, but UCF's got some good players. I think they pull away. I'm going to go ahead and just get this out. I think UCF wins it 40-31 or 41-30 over Florida. I think that, Florida might put some points up, but because of their defense, UCF, I think, will outscore them and get, some good touchdowns, some key playmakers, big yards. It's going to be a good game. Florida's got a 67% chance to win. That's respectable, but the game's a 7.5 point spread. I got to give it to the Knights in this one, man. I'm pulling. It'd be cool to see this happen. It's cool that these teams are playing first off, but also it's the Gasparilla Bowl. Dude, you have a team from Orlando, you have a team from Gainesville, and they're going to, and let me remind everybody, St. Petersburg, even though it's home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and playing at Raymond James Stadium. This will be good.
Yeah, it will be. And let me ask you this. If your prediction holds true, will this overshadow – I get it. Billy hasn't came in and he hasn't really recruited or anything, but would this be off a rock start, or would Florida Gators forgive him if they lost?
I think the fact that they let Mullen go, I think Florida fans shouldn't be too disappointed in a bowl loss. You want to win a bowl game and you get this new head coach coming in. I think it depends on the score. If it's something like this and you just kind of lose by 11 points, okay. But if let's say it's so lopsided, like a freaking 45-3, which I doubt. But if it's something like that, that's where the Florida man might get kind of pissed off,
Yeah, I agree. I I agree with it, and then that's a reasonable, prediction. 41-30. That's not a bad one at all, and that's not me hating on Florida by any means. It's just I think that's realistically a realistic prediction for sure.
Yeah. Sorry I dropped out too. But
Oh,
yeah,
you're good.
this will be an interesting game. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida won it, but I think that because of the new coach, I don't know. I have a feeling that organization's just kind of in a hole right now, and they got a lot of stuff to figure out. They got a lot to work on, like a lot to work on in the offseason to get this program back. And it's not that like Florida should want to, and I think they do, but man, they want to try to get this team back to what it was with Tim Tebow. Not exactly like it, because you're never going to see a quarterback like that at Florida again, I don't think. You're not going to see a run like that. But they want it to be very competitive, and year in and year out, I think they want to try to be top 15, if I'm being honest with you. And that's what they should go for. They're not anywhere near that. They're all frustrated. They're probably just beside themselves.
Well, the high
I
expectations.
would not be surprised if they go into this bowl game and act like they don't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, if the high expectations are so high, like at Florida, like the thing is, being 25th, that's not good enough for Florida. And I think they have high standards in Florida, softball to basketball to every
Baseball is
athlete
good too.
or everything at the Florida University that it goes back to the athletic department. The expectations are so high. I think they have more high expectations than anyone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I really do. Like, you even going back to basketball, I mean, there's a lot of teams. I know Alabama's looking good right now in basketball, but there's not a lot of good SEC quality teams, that's consistent and whatnot. But Florida wants to be that team every year in men's basketball, and they want you to know it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they settle. I don't even think 20th is good enough for Florida. I mean, honestly, I think 15th. The bar is, of course, your first 2 years for Billy, is top 25, of course.
Right.
But after that, man, it's 18th and under, 15th and under. You better
Right.
be there, or 15 and up, however you want to do it. But either way, your number better start getting lower, and that's the high expectations at Florida.
I think at this point, if you're not top 15, but you're top 20, and I would agree that that shouldn't be the standard, and it probably isn't. But I think because of where Dan Mullen has it, I mean, he like really messed up. He like really screwed this team in the gutter. I would say, okay, top 20 team, we could start there. But in a year, let's improve and be top 15. Then let's improve and be top 10, then top 5, and work our way up and do it and just improve year in and year out and be consistent. And I'm sure this guy's also going to actually care about the program because that's the thing about Dan Mullen. Forget his record and everything. Forget that. His attitude after I don't remember which week it was. But he was asked about recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, it's the football season right now. We're not going to focus.
No, it's always recruiting.
It's always recruiting season. And I'll tell you why. Because, we're too busy because we got to coach our players during practice. Okay, well, you can find some time in there to make a quick phone call or something. And even if there's people, they're not committed now. And if they are, then they probably haven't heard the message yet. But Dan Mullen doesn't care about you.
Right, but here's the thing. That's why they do the Deep South Otis rivalry.
Right.
Or not the Deep South Otis rivalry. This ain't Auburn. Heck, the cocktail party. Why? Yeah. So everybody, it's half and half. It's split 50-50 for Georgia and Florida. That one game under Florida's schedule should tell you it's always recruiting time.
I mean, it's always recruiting. Florida had guys committed to Dan Mullen. Like every program has somebody out there, at least maybe one or two guys. I'm going to tell you what, those recruits hear that. If they haven't already, maybe they'll hear it someday. And if they have heard it, I guarantee you they're looking to go elsewhere, because to hear that, I mean, that says this coach doesn't care about you. He doesn't care if you come to this program, and even if you don't, he's not going to worry about you.
This is what it boils down to, Ballard. This is the three things that got him fired. He lost the fan base, for one.
Yep.
All right. And at Florida, you can't do that. Well, really anywhere, but let's say Florida. All right. Number two, he already, when he made those comments and stuff, he daggum sure lost his recruits. And number three, he lost his entire locker room. And when you do that, there's just no faith. There's nothing that can save you at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, this is a coach, Dan Mullen in Florida, that was superior. Went to top with the best of Alabama last year, right? In that shootout, what was it, 50-something to 48?
It was like 52 to 46. You talk about the SEC title?
Right. And with Kyle Trask and all these guys and everything, and who would have thought 1 year later that Dan Mullen would have been fired? We knew that it was going to be kind of a disappointing season where Florida was at. We would give Dan Mullen that. But when you sit here and you say, hey, basically it's not recruiting, get out of here.
His comment, forget his record, those comments got him fired. I guarantee you. I don't think it was based on record. Yeah, they were failing and struggling. But if you're a head coach, you should say stuff like, oh, hey, coach, just want to ask you about, so-and-so coming to the game and so-and-so wanting to commit. And all he said was, no, it's the football season. It's not time to recruit yet.
Right.
Right? I would say, look, if you ain't got much to say, just say, well, we sure would like to meet with those guys and hope to hear from them and say something positive. Man.
Right. Yeah. I agree 100% with you. I really do, man. And, like I said, he I don't know. Do you think this could, I know I've been on Dan Mullen and I'm not going to repeat what I've been saying on your show for like the last 5 days, but look, do you think this tarnished Dan Mullen's career? Do you think he can get another job? Or that just killed him altogether?
I think it should, at least for college, because of recruit. He basically said, screw recruiting. That basically his message. Anybody that hears that, anybody that looks at his track record, forget his record coaching at Florida and everything, that won't get you hired at any program, because every program has to recruit.
Yep.
Every program. And if you say that about one program, what makes you think he's going to care about recruiting somewhere else? Nobody's going to want that coach.
Even if he's an offensive coordinator, going back to his old position, before Mississippi State, you still got to recruit. Who offensively is going to play for this dude who really cares nothing about you?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, I don't even know how this guy made it past Kyle Trask and Pitts and all those guys. Yeah, he just now showed it, maybe, but I find it really hard to believe that maybe something didn't come out before then.
I don't think he recruited those guys. I thought McElwain got them. Because, you got to remember, he was hired in like 2018, I think.
That's true. Yeah.
So some of those guys that were there were like juniors or seniors or fifth-year seniors. They were some veterans. And
yeah, you're right, because the Emory guy was the number one quarterback, or he was the number two behind Jake Fromm or something like that. Either way, I remember that was Florida's big pickup.
Yep. And Jim McElwain, he was a good recruiter and he was a good coach too. It just wasn't, trying to fill the shoes of Urban Meyer or whatever, just was like, yeah, this isn't our guy.
Mm-hmm.
How many times in a row did he try to win the East and play Bama? I think 2 or 3 years in a row it was Bama, Florida, something like that. But
right. Do you think coaches would have better success? Let's flip it over Let's just say Georgia was in the SEC West, or you could take Kirby Smart and put him at a West school, right? That's relevant. And let's just get rid of Nick Saban for a second. Do you think that he would have more success if Kirby says he needs a wake up call for him to basically get slapped in the face to lose? Do you think that him playing tougher opponents for him to lose that one game or so? Do you think that's what Kirby needs to win a national championship?
You mean like the A&Ms and the LSUs or whatever? Even though I know LSU, but I get what you're saying. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, this. For all we know, this Alabama loss might be his wake up call. But I get what you're saying. You're saying losses like that.
Right, yeah, because all I hear Georgia players and everybody say that we need this. It was like a wake-up call. This is all I'm hearing now.
It's not the end of your season, but maybe it's kind of where it starts out. I get what you're saying. Maybe. I think playing tougher teams out of the West, and maybe if he took a loss to at least one of those on a regular basis yearly, maybe that's where he hits his mark to take you guys all the way to a title.
It's crazy to say, but it very well could be true. But
well, I mean, look at all the Alabama teams. We've talked about only 2, 2009 and last year in 2020. There have been 6 title teams under Saban. Only 2 have been undefeated. The other 4, we took losses and used them as motivation. And tried to just, Saban calls it the Bama factor, the process, try to reinstall that after a loss, and they can carry it forward and just be dominant and win the game. So maybe Kirby's like that. Who knows? I mean, we'll see what he does against Michigan, which, I know, like you said, and I want to make this clear for any Georgia fan out there, I wouldn't be sleeping on Jim Harbaugh in that offense. Oh, we got the best defense. Well, the best defense just gave Bryce Young 41 points. Best defense, my rear end.
Look, I love defense, and don't get me wrong, this defense for Georgia has been very fun to watch. But it's so obvious you have to have an offense in some sense.
That's what I've been saying. I said that about Georgia because I said, they're going to eventually hit one of those games where, that defense might look okay, but if they're playing one of the better offenses, their offense needs to be out there and be able to keep up with the scoring. Not that they couldn't score, but they couldn't keep up.
Or do you think maybe the offense is capable? Let's just give the offense the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that Georgia has the offense, but Kirby has this thing that he wants to do where it's this ground and pound, run the couple of running backs, right? Hit you in the mouth, score a couple of points, and play really good defense. Can you do that in college football this day in Aegis? But saying and still giving that offense the benefit of the doubt, maybe it's just his scheme. Do you think his scheme just don't work?
Maybe. I mean, maybe he needs to change up the way he runs it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or instead of doing that ground and pound, and because it seems like that's where Georgia gets into one-dimensional. There's no running game, or they have a passing attack, but they have no running game. It's kind of like vice versa. And then, of course, now you got to worry about different quarterbacks, right? One can do something different, the other one can't. However, you want to flip it, and I just wonder if this scheme is just so out of sync that what Kirby's trying to put in place for Georgia, sometimes it works on lesser talent, maybe, but not when he's playing like the Bamas.
I got you.
Like the scheme works to a degree, right? And so he's trying to develop 5-star, really good players like Jordan, the big guys up front and everything, like Wyatt and all those guys like Jordan Davis and stuff. And maybe that's what he's trying to do, and he's leaning on them so hard. But at the end of the day, they still come up short. And it's not because they're not good football players. It's just for whatever reason it don't work out.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Because I'm starting to think that, look, if you go back, we've said this before and we'll say it again, we've all seen it. In 2017, the O-line, the defensive line for Georgia was outstanding with Lorenzen Carter and those guys. and they rocked Tua, but yet still the guys were wide open. And we know how good Tua is, but then we say, okay, well, we know how good Matt Jones is. Well, we know how good Bryce Young is. Well, I get it, but when are we going to be good?
Right. Like, at what point do we say we know how good Georgia is?
Right. And it's just, that's just the way it is. Like, we talk about Iowa not having an offense, but they got good defense.
Right.
Our offense is not as bad as Iowa's, but the thing about it is there is no way our wide receivers and everybody can be playing at their best. There's just no way. I find that so hard to believe.
Yeah, I got you.
And, Curtis Hankton is our wide receivers coach at Georgia. Please, Lord, I love you so much. Let him walk and leave to go wherever he's being reported to go to. I sent you that article last night, Ballard. Every time you talk to me, I fuss about our wide receiver core because I really do. That there is no way all those guys are that bad.
Oh, I know.
There's just no way. It's impossible. And if it
5 4 stars, yeah.
And here's the thing, like, I'm not expecting to have AJ Green. Look, if we have one AJ Green every 3 to 5 years, that's awesome, right? Because AJ Green and Julio Jones was one of a kind, right? Yeah. They were spectacular when they were at Alabama and Georgia. But ever since AJ Green's left, right, in 2009, Georgia's really never had that top contender. We wanted it to be George Pickens, and maybe George Pickens is a similar version of him. But at the end of the day, he still isn't that AJ Green. And even if we don't have that AJ Green type of wide receiver, let's have some quality receivers there and there that you can rely on. That's consistent. You know what I mean? Like, there's just too many receivers that's came through Georgia that's to me they didn't progress. No way.
Yeah. It's like there's not lack of talent, but where's the improvement, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that's a big deal. There's a difference between, I'm a talented player and, okay, well, tell me how you've improved the past 3 or 4 years in college here if you're coming to the NFL. Like, what, like, about. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, real fast. Sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to let you know, since the dude's been hired in 2018, Georgia's offense has been on life support, and that's the best way of putting it. And it hasn't got any better. So please, Cortez, please leave Athens. I'm begging you.
Cortez,
yes.
Okay.
And a lot of people likes him, and that's wonderful. But we're just never getting that better. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, last night on your show, I said, and I really truly mean it, I believe if Brock Bowers was on Alabama, y'all would probably beat us 100-0. Brock Bowers, it's not that I'm like, hooray, he's on Georgia's team and he's the best in the world, but he is being underplayed so much and he's playing his heart out. And the dude's going to end up getting hurt or he's going to end up transferring because if Georgia doesn't get any better, because he is so much better than everybody pretty much besides the fat guys on the offensive line.
Yep.
Every talent that he's playing with is so under him, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I got you. It's crazy, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. And so, like, a lot of people don't talk about it, because they don't talk about our running backs, But I think our running backs are a huge problem. What Kirby Smart's trying to put in place in Georgia. We talked about schemes.
You really haven't had that special back really since Chubb and Michelle. I mean, That's it. I mean, not that you haven't had talented backs, but it hasn't been like you Georgia fans should look at 2017 and be like, where the hell did this go? Like,
right.
How did we let this type of offense, not these players get away, but this type of offense?
Right. I mean, we got good quality backs now, like Milton, but he can't pass protect to save his life. I love Kendall Milton.
Oh, yeah.
I really do, but he can't. And Elijah Holyfield 2-3 years ago was a bigger bust than anybody I've ever seen, along with Charlie Warner. They were the two big hot shots that came to Athens, and they were supposed to be this and that, haven't done squat diddly-do ever since they left Athens to go pro. But with that being said, Georgia does not have no reliable backs. One can do this, one can do that. We're so out of sync, unbalanced. Then it goes back to what quarterback, who you have to put in. And I'm telling you, it's a big problem. If you put in JT Daniels, you're always going to have to play Zamir White, which means the only way you can play another wide receiver, or excuse me, another running back is James Cook, because the only way he can do anything and have playing time under JT is in a slot receiver. That's the only way. And he can catch balls, but he can't pass protect. He's probably the best one behind Zamir White that can, but he ain't no better.
Would you call James Cook? And again, I doubt that he's untalented, but like, would you ever try to give him a chance? Maybe not over Zamir White, but Zamir White's going to be gone. Like, he's probably going to go pro this year, right?
I believe he's a senior.
Okay. James Cook.
Yeah, he's gone. James Cook's gone too. James Cook, I know, has been invited to the Reese's All-Star playoff.
The point I was going to try to make, like, let's say, give you a scenario here. Let's say James Cook isn't gone, but Zamir White is. Let's say Zamir White leaves and James Cook comes back, hypothetically speaking. Do you trust James Cook as a full-time running back? Not blocking. I'm talking about running the football.
Oh, absolutely. If he didn't have to pass protect, absolutely. Same thing with Kendall Milton, which, by the way, Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh will be our two running backs coming back from next year.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, JT needs to come back for one more year. Now, JT graduates coming up here in the next couple of months at Georgia. He can be a grad transfer. Otherwise, he's going to be stuck at Georgia for one more year. And if you don't have nobody to pass protect, we're going to be in some awfully god trouble.
I got you.
Just saying, because JT is not NFL material right now. He's just not.
Right.
And he's not where he needs to be. I think JT is a really good quarterback, but I don't think he is at the place he needs to be. I don't think what he needs to do and where Georgia's at right now, he needs to be that outgoing, just bam, 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 hit you in the mouth offense. Georgia's not that place just yet, or Georgia's not the place. He needs to be somewhere where they throw the ball, I don't know, 60, well, not 60, about 80% of the time. Yeah, that's where JT needs to be. And Georgia only throws it, 40? Because the dude can't move. So, it's just like we were talking about, man. Bryce Young in 2018 got a scholarship offer to Alabama because we made freaking Carson Beck decommit from Bama to go to Georgia. He's been under 5 quarterbacks since he's been at Georgia since 2018. The dude is just terrible. He's never progressed. I mean, and I don't know where we're going to be sitting at in the near future. I just know it seems like everybody's got better talent than us. I don't know. It's so hard to say that they're not getting coached right.
Are you not, here's the thing. There's a lot of hype going into this season around the Brock Vandagriff kid. And again, like, it's not so much a lack of talent that the players have. We know what they were in high school, but at college is a different level. Let's say next year, and I'm sure Stetson might be back. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, Stenson's gone. We'll either have JT, Carson Beck, believe it or not, Jackson Muschamp. Woohoo! Is
he gone?
No, all 3 of those will be coming back. So you got Jackson Muschamp, he's a redshirt freshman. Brock Vandagriff, JT Daniels, if he comes back, if he don't graduate or whatever. All right, and then we will have Carson Beck.
Okay.
2 years ago, maybe Carson Beck, but please do not put him in. If you're not putting him in now, don't put him in later.
Right. I got you. See, that's what I was going to ask. And at what point do you look to this hyped up 5-star as if he's good, Brock Vandagriff? Not. I didn't mean to say it like that, but we don't know yet. Like, at what point do you look at him? He was hyped up by you guys. Everyone was talking about Brock Vandagriff, and even from a national standpoint, when he signed, a lot of people were saying this might be the guy of the offense, for the future for Georgia. And I'm just like, I'll believe it when I see it, because I ain't seen anything for a future of offense. Like,
Right. Well, the thing about Brock is this: a lot of people doesn't know, and I'm pretty sure that he was where Brock went to school at. Of course, when you go to high school and everything, you really can't choose where you want to go. Right? It's based off your address and everything else. He's like in a little hick country town. It's like a 1A school, right? They're not really playing a lot of people. Now, that's not denying his talent. Okay, I do think Brock is a really good quarterback. But the talent's going to be a lot better in the SEC. You're going from playing the best in your little division there to now you're on the big boy stage, right? I think the worst thing that could happen for him, and then again, it could be a good thing for him, is if JT comes back and whatever happens next year happens, but he can either learn from JT or Brock can play. That would be the good and the bad kind of deal. Like the bad would be if JT came back. Maybe if Brock had a chance to come in, then he doesn't need JT to come back, right? But at the same sense, where he's going to be in a little pickle is this, or where Georgia's going to be like in a pickle is that in 2 more years in 2023, if Gunnar Stockman still is committed to Georgia, you're going to have a hot 5-star recruit in Gunnar Stockman, and you got Brock Vandegrift. This leaves both of these guys to play, and I almost guarantee you in 2023 or 24, one of those guys will transfer. But with that being said, going back to 2022, I think it's Brock's going to have to really show whether if he's the backup behind JT or not. If he's the backup behind, let's say Carson Beck, that's going to give him a bad look, in my opinion. Yeah. I really do. Do what?
I got you, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think Brock, but Brock's a good quarterback, but we need to see. We know what he can do at high school. We just need to see what he can do at Georgia. He's in the depth chart. He's very, very low in the depth chart. He's even behind Carson Beck. I'm just saying he's going to have to get better than that, because otherwise Carson Beck's going to be the starter next year, or Carson Beck will be the second stringer behind JT. So, that ain't good enough. I mean, Brock's going to have to get better.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think next year, though, will be a lot different. Just for the simple facts, a different year. We're losing some key players. Depending on how this season goes, whether if it will be a natty or going to play for a natty, or it will be we lost to Michigan and we just made the playoffs, however you want to look at it, I think next year is just going to be a whole new different ball team and a different club for Georgia, because we're losing a lot of people defensively. And some offensively, but mainly defensively. And it's going to be a huge hit. I mean, we're going to need that depth that Dan Lanning and them plays to really step up for Georgia.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Scary part about it is while Alabama, this is their down year, and they're still on the top. The scary part for Georgia is this is the year that you have to do it, because Alabama's in their down year, supposedly. And when you're in your down year next year, Alabama's going to be at their top. And if Alabama's already on their top,
for Georgia, it's only downfall from here. That.
It's win or bust. That's it. No excuses.
Can't recruit.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's one of those things, man, for real. Like, this is Georgia's time. If the way Georgia's been playing, the way everything, the cards, everything falls. This should be Georgia's year. And the thing is, going into the SEC championship, everything that Georgia did was wiped out in one game by Alabama. It was erased. All 12 games that Georgia played all year long, that Georgia, put all those sweat and put their hard work and dedication to, was wiped away by Alabama in one game, with all the yardage, everything that they gave up. And I'll be honest with you, Georgia is very blessed that they didn't lose a game in the middle of the regular season like we normally do, because otherwise we wouldn't have another chance. And not many people get second chances like Georgia.
That's true.
And that Georgia made a lot of people look bad. I mean, they really did. I mean, they made a lot of commentators. A lot of people haven't picked Georgia in years, to win like the big daddy. You know what I'm talking about, like against Alabama, man. The cream of the crop, right?
Yep.
And they look like idiots on national TV. And I guarantee you, I don't care what Georgia does to Michigan, and I don't care what Alabama does to Cincinnati. They're going to pick Alabama to win that game. If Alabama meets
Do you
Georgia.
blame them? Do you blame them?
No, I don't blame them at all.
Now, let me ask you this. If Georgia does end up winning the title, hypothetically speaking, do you think it could be kind of fluky in a way? Like, I mean, I hate to put it to you like that, but like, I mean, do you think it'll be out of luck, or could you see this team actually coming together like that to actually win it on their own?
I mean, it would be beautiful if they could come out and win it on their own. I mean, I'd still take it, obviously.
Right.
But
you always take it. I think we got a little lucky on 2nd and 26, if I'm being honest, but I mean, still.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I even heard, I don't think there's any Alabama fans that actually like is on YouTube that is in the Birmingham, Alabama area. But have you ever heard of 106.9 The Eagle, the radio station?
I hear it all the time. Yeah, it's
okay, the classic rock station.
They said his games on Saturday. Yeah.
Right. Well, of course, they go on there and do Alabama football and say Roll Tide and all that stuff. Of course, because it's Alabama, and well, anyway, they were playing leading up to the SEC championship game. They were playing everybody but singers that wasn't from Georgia.
Yes, I'm trying to remember who it was. I listened to that host. I can't think of his name. I'm more so listened to 102.5 The Bull for the country music. But anyways, he said we're not playing any bands from Georgia because I don't want any bad luck this weekend. And I'm like, all right, cool. Base it off music. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was something different. Hey, Alabama's going to have their way of doing it. And even if I don't like it, or however, I mean, let's just say if it's something I don't like, oh, well, go to Georgia, right? Georgia's going to do the same thing if we were playing Alabama, probably. You never know. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I hate it. Of course, I'm a Georgia fan, but I like to keep it realistic as well. And,
yeah, man.
For you being an Alabama fan, I thought that was pretty cool that a radio station actually did that. It just shows you that they love their football too.
Yeah. For sure.
So is anybody in the comment section?
No, it's literally just been you and me this whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to watch later on, we appreciate you tuning in this far.
Yeah. I don't got much else to say, man. I just wanted to kill some time. I got a couple hours to, I guess, kill still, but I'm going to just kind of do some stuff around the house and all that.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to get off here and charge up my phone. But, yeah, that's a good stream with you. And sorry about me coming in. And I wasn't trying to take over if I did. And if I did, I apologize.
Nah, you're always welcome on here, man. This was one of those hangout ones anyway.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you.
See you, buddy. All right. Ugga Boy. Go check him out. Love you, bro. Good seeing you as always. Good friend of mine. He lives in Alabama, too. We've talked, and we need to hang out sometime. Him and I, but I'm gonna get out of here. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. Gonna keep it going all month long. Go listen to some Christmas music. Watch a film. I watched Home Alone last night. But anyway, I love y'all. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. Happy holidays. God bless. And as always,
roll down Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. Love y'all.